Hi everyone, and welcome to video number 4 of Letting Go and Letting Grow. Now, in the previous 3 videos, I have spoken about grief, its emotions, and also the stages of grief. Now, I think you are in a better position to identify or at least pinpoint the emotion that you are going through. At the same time, in this video, I would like to speak about the gender biases that come with grief. Now, in terms of men identifying yourself as a man or as a woman, a lot of societal biases have come in place. The very common one, which everyone knows, is when people say, or when it is a belief in the society, that men don't cry, or it is not masculine enough for a man to cry. So, in this situation, what happens is a man, okay, being so much conscious about the gender and the society, and for the men who are in the role of provider, if they are going through some grief or loss, they arrest that grief. And when that grief is arrested in their heart, when their grief is arrested in their body, it is going to create far more complications emotionally and from a perspective of their health than it is ever known. And it is not a very, supportive thing when you stop a human being from expressing themselves by crying. As I very, very briefly touched upon in the previous video, crying is an act or a sign of your nervous system regulating itself out of trauma. Now, there is no comparison or differentiation between a man losing someone to illness or whatever the situation, or having a relationship loss, or going through a breakup, as much as it is to a woman. So, here in this video, I would like to elaborate that for every man, their emotions are valid, their emotions are genuine, it's not exaggeration, and it is not weakness for anyone to express themselves, cry, or even talk about it. Now, when we talk about different types of loss, as I said, grief is very, very, very narrowed down to just losing someone to death. But grief is, as I said, also about relationships, and grief is about various aspects. For example, if a man has lost his business, or if a man has lost his job, or there has been some untoward circumstances, and there has been, some kind of loss anywhere, that is also falling into the category of grieving. And situations that make you sad, situations that you don't express, where you observe during your growing up, everything that is. So it's like we have a very common emotion known as sadness. Now, sadness can vary into different degrees, and everything under the umbrella of sadness is grief. Everything that you don't express is going to be suppressed. And if you are someone who believes in energy, all of that grief is suppressed around your emotional heart. It's suppressed around your emotional heart. And if you are someone who's interested in metaphysics and how each organ takes on two different kinds of emotions and stores them, the area where grief is stored mainly is in your upper torso, or in your chest area, to be specific, in your lungs. Because when you are sad, when you are depressed, when you are grieving, you feel you cannot breathe. You feel as if you can have a choking feeling, like literally or emotionally. So imagine if being a man and having to suppress this just because they are a man. It's not fair. Okay, so for to all the men out there, it is important that you grieve, And it doesn't matter how new or old the grief is. You may have not expressed the grief of someone who passed away, say maybe even 20 years back, or someone that's been so recent. No one is asking you to get on with the task and go and fight and handle the day or handle the life the very next day. You can take your time. And anyone, okay, if they choose the path to surrender the grief, to surrender the pain, technically, it takes just anywhere between 10 to 20 minutes to run over that gamut of feelings and to just go into complete surrender. But obviously, one requires a professional, to help them in this situation. And if you are equipped, you can. But I would say that when you are in such a situation, it's always good to have a support system, which is another thing that I have elaborated in the videos. So, again, just summing up the whole thing, if you are a man, it's not necessary that you are showing your masculinity by not grieving. Your emotion is very, very different from your gender. Your emotion is something that all of us have, irrespective of what we are born as. And it's good, it's healthy to cry, it's healthy to express, it's healthy to go through the same stages of grief as a woman or someone who identifies them as a woman may go through. At the same time, it's important to talk. So if you are a man and if you are seeking help professionally in therapy, it's not a shame. You are welcome to do that. There are many support groups that may be available country specific and in your region, or you can reach out to people who are online if that's what something that works for you. Grief is something that you will need to take it, not even by the day. You will need to take it by the hour if it is very fresh. And if it is a very long standing grief, a very old one, my personal recommendation is please seek professional help, not to be judged, but you will have someone who will hold space for you without judging you and recalibrate your body and do not get into any kind of health issues because of unprocessed emotions, because that's also one of my aspect, of coming out and making these videos, of letting you know that if I can be in the situation and still grieve and still work and still do things, everyone can, and everyone processes it differently. So if you are someone who requires your own cocoon, make that. And the idea is to just feel safe.
Help Talks are daily health related talks held at Health Education Library for People, Mumbai, India. For more information visit www.healthlibrary.com. Subscribe to Help Talks channel. Be better informed about your health.